Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So recently we bought a pre-construction home, and so this video is going to answer the questions that people have been asking me a lot, which is how much does it cost to make upgrades to your house? There's actually so many things I want to talk about because there's so many things I learned about buying a pre-construction home that I didn't know before, like my whole experience with it, what I would have done differently or not done differently. So I'll be making those videos over time, but I just want to address the most commonly asked question, which is how much do upgrades cost, so that you guys can get an idea of how much you're actually going to end up paying for on top of the listing price. One thing that I think is really important is that you should expect to add at least $100,000 on top of the house that you purchase it for. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you want to make your house look nice and good, then you should expect to upgrade at least $100,000. If you don't really care about how the house look and you're just ready to take the basic of everything, then you can probably just do no upgrades at all. But I don't think the house will look nice because what you're getting is really just a shell of a house, and if you don't plan on doing any upgrades, it's gonna look pretty bad. I think we have been very conservative in terms of what upgrades we decided to do or not do because we didn't really want to spend a lot of money. We already spent a lot of money on just purchasing this house, and these upgrades we felt like we had to do or else the house will look pretty crappy. To give you guys a little bit of context, basically this house is about 3,000 square feet and it's roughly an hour away from downtown Toronto. So I would say that it is within the GTA. So I'll start off with the structural upgrades and then the second part, which is the decor upgrades. And that's usually how builders structure their, I guess, upgrade. And I'll break down how much it costs for us to make the upgrades and lessons that we've learned, things we wish we knew differently. These are things that I definitely have wished that someone had told us before we bought a pre-construction home, because otherwise I would definitely have gone with a resale. There's still a lot of work that goes into the house after you move in. One of the biggest things is that it doesn't come with appliances, so we have to buy all of our appliances and we have to give our specs to the builder. So we have to plan all of that beforehand, and that's actually a lot of work. We got a gas stove and you need to have a licensed contractor to do it for you, just because of the fact that gas is very dangerous and you don't want to have anyone installing it improperly. Also, if you guys are curious, the builder that we went with is Opus. They are supposed to be builder of the year in 2021 or something like that. I would say that they're good, but not great. There are some areas for improvement that I feel like they could do, but I'll talk more about that in other videos where I talk about my whole experience and what it was like buying a house with Opus. But today I strictly just want to go over how much upgrades cost for everyone's curiosity. So for structural changes, we added $30,000 to have 10 feet ceiling, and this 10 feet ceiling package comes with 8 feet garage, bigger windows. And we were a little bit late on making that decision, so we actually had to pay an additional $1,500 for them to make that changes. It just feels much more grander and just nicer in general. One thing with 10 feet ceiling is that there's a lot of additional costs that come with it that we didn't realize. So for example, if you're installing a range hood, you need an extension. So for us, extension costs an additional $200. Because the ceiling is just higher than what the typical range hood length is, you need an extension. The weird thing is that it's not something that we can just buy at Home Depot. We actually had to drive all the way to Caledon to get this range hood extension. We thought we would be able to purchase at Home Depot or Canadian Tire, anywhere that's just like easier to get. Another thing is that with the 10 feet ceiling, it also comes with 8 feet garage. So most garages are actually 7 feet tall. When you install a garage door opener, you typically don't think about the height of the ceiling, but if you have an 8 feet ceiling, then you need to get an extension, and each garage door extension costs about $150. So if you have 2 garage doors, it will probably cost you around $300 just to get the extension. Another thing that caught me by surprise with this 10 feet ceiling upgrade is that the height of the kitchen cabinets doesn't extend with the 10 feet upgrade. So for example, with a 9 feet ceiling, you would have kitchen cabinets that go all the way up to 8 feet. So you have at least 1 feet of gap between the kitchen cabinets and the ceiling. With a 10 feet ceiling, the cabinets still stay at 8 feet. So now you have a 2 feet gap between the ceiling and the cabinets, which doesn't look very good. In my opinion, I feel like the cabinets should be upgraded along with the 10 feet ceiling, but apparently it doesn't, so you have to pay an additional upgrade to get the cabinets to be extended. This costed us about an additional $8,000 to upgrade the cabinets so that there's only a 1-inch gap between the ceiling and the cabinets. At first, we weren't too sure if we should do it because $8,000 is a lot and we felt like we were already spending so much. But upon looking at some pictures online, we found that it actually looks pretty bad if you leave such a big gap between the ceiling and the cabinets. So it was just like something that we felt like we have to do, or we were kind of forced to do. But that cost kind of caught us off guard, and it was really surprising to us. We didn't expect to pay, $8,000 just to upgrade the cabinets. Continuing on with the structural changes, so if you want a walkout basement or walk-up basement, it costs about additional $30,000, which we didn't do, but afterwards we kind of regretted not getting it just because to make that change, it would probably cost a lot more than $30,000 afterwards, and it's just going to be a big job that you might not even be able to do afterwards. We also added a sewage backflow protector in the base of the house. I'm not too sure how exactly it works, but it's to prevent water from going back into your house, and it's supposed to prevent flood. I think it costs about $650, and we just decided to do it because it decreases your insurance. I'm not too sure by how much, but typically for a new house your insurance would be lower anyway, because that's one thing we noticed is that the insurance for a pre-con is actually typically lower than a resale house. We also added in a microwave shelf. This costed about $315, and it wasn't really something that if we don't have a microwave shelf, we would just put it on a counter, which I think most people do. We just added in because we just thought it would look nicer, but it's not a must-have. For the master bathroom, there are lights, but they don't have a light inside the shower. So we've included a pot light in the shower, which costed about $285 just for one pot light. We added a switch above the fireplace in the living room because the plan is to have a TV mounted over the fireplace. So to include that switch, it costs $115. We also added an extra pot light over the kitchen counter, and the idea is that we have a kitchen counter and that there will be 2 pendants coming down from the top of the island. Currently there's only 1 light over the island, so we wanted to have 2 lights over the island for the pendants. It costs about $150 as well just for that extra cap over the island. Funny enough, they actually forgot about it when we closed the house. They didn't include it, and so we have to ask them to fix it, which they haven't done yet. So for the backyard of our house, we decided to add in a gas line, which costs an additional $1,000. And the reason why we added this is it just makes barbecuing a lot easier. You don't have to get propane, you just hook it up to gas, buy a gas grill, and just fire it up. To remove the cabinets in the kitchen so that you can have like the range hood that extends down where you can see the whole thing. I'm not exactly too sure what it's called, but basically you remove the cabinet so you can actually see the whole range hood. That costed about $250 just to remove those cabinets. So most stove is electric stove, but we wanted to have a gas stove because my boyfriend likes to cook and he likes gas stove. So that costed us about $1,300 to change it from electric to gas. We also have a laundry room in the upstairs, second floor, but we didn't really want to have that room go to waste because it's next to this beautiful window, and it's quite a spacious room. So we wanted to have the laundry relocated down to the basement, which cost about $1,000. The funny thing about this is that it actually is cheaper for the builder to have the laundry in the basement instead of the second floor, but they'll still charge you. We also added a rough-in for the pot filler in the kitchen, which costed about $650. So keep in mind that this is just a rough-in. You still need to hire someone to come and do the remainder of the work for you, like installing the pot filler, and that typically costs about $100 from an outside contractor, which isn't bad, but the pot filler itself is pretty expensive. I think we got ours for about $300, and there's some that just goes up to $1,000 if you want really nice looking ones. If you want to have a fridge that can make ice and water directly from the fridge, you need to have a water line, so that will cost you an additional $500. For the stairs, if you want to not have wooden stairs or wooden pickets on the stairs, you can go for the iron option, and in the iron option there are different designs. So we went for the flat iron picket, which costed about $1,175. I think iron is kind of like the new look now, so it just looks nicer. We just went with it. So that is pretty much the end of tier 1 structural changes. And so now we will go over to tier 2. Tier 2 is more of the interior decor upgrades, and we've tried to be very conservative because we don't want to spend too much money, but these are the changes that we thought would make the house look nice, and without it we think it would just look pretty bad. One thing that we knew we wanted is to have hardwood or laminate flooring on the second floor. It comes with carpet flooring, but that's not what we want because, well, who does carpet nowadays, right? So we also wanted to have thicker hardwood floor, so about 7.5 inch, and that will cost you. Color that we chose and the size, it costed us for the entire second floor about $10,400, and that's just for the upstairs, and it isn't even hardwood, it's laminate. The reason why we went with laminate was because it was just cheaper. We did do some calculations on whether it would be a lot cheaper if we were to just replace the carpet ourselves by hiring a contractor after, and the price is just very similar. You're probably just saving like a little bit, and now you have to go out and hire someone, all these additional work. So you're just saving time by going with the builder, just paying a little bit more. They're actually very, very smart. They didn't price it a lot more than if you were to do it with an outside contractor after. They make it very similar so that you would just go with the builder. Although it typically is supposed to be easier for the builder to do it because they're not ripping out the carpet, should be able to charge it at a cheaper price, but we all know that builders are just money hungry. For the bottom on the first floor, it comes with hardwood floor, but 3-inch hardwood flooring, which doesn't really look that good. So naturally we decided to go with 6.5-inch hardwood flooring, and for the whole entire first floor it costed $14,000. Keep in mind we also changed it to hardwood flooring in the kitchen as well. We didn't really want that white kitchen tile or whatever you call it. It doesn't really look that nice to us in our opinion. So we did the whole entire flooring with just one color. However, we were pretty lucky in the sense that before closing they ran out of 6.5-inch, but they had it in 7-inch. So they were able to give us 7-inch hardwood flooring at no additional cost. So that was a good thing that came out of it. One thing to note is that with the stairs, you don't actually get to pick the hardwood or laminate, whatever you want for the stairs. They actually have to spray paint it or paint it over it to match the color that you picked on the first or second floor. So that costed about $1,600 just to paint the stairs to match the color you picked for, I guess, the house. So that is mostly the flooring. I think a big bulk of our upgrade came from the flooring. For the tiles of the bathroom, we just picked their standard colors because we just didn't want to pay too much. So I think the standard colors look pretty nice. It came along very well. Our decor person was pretty nice that she kind of helped us coordinate what colors we want to go with the rest of the house. I know that not all builders have this. My friend closed the house on Matt to me, and she said that they didn't really have a decor person to help them pick the colors. So we were lucky that we did have somebody from Opus, and I have to say that she was actually very, very helpful in making the decisions for us and trying to coordinate the colors and what will flow with the house to make a more unified look. So we were able to save money that way. One thing that we noticed that was very popular or in is that there is a two-tone color coordination with kitchens. So the cabinets would be a certain color and then the island would be a different color. So that's kind of what we wanted to do. So if you want to have different colors with the island and the cabinets, that's considered a two-tone color. And that costed us about $600 just to have a two-tone. For the cabinets in the kitchen, we went for a grayish color, slightly under white, and that is considered an upgrade. There's only so many limited selections that they give you for free. Costed us about $2,200. For the island, we didn't really like the options that they gave us as well, so we went with an upgrade on that. We chose like this darker wooden finish. It cost about $2,000 just to upgrade the cabinet style to the one that we prefer. For the stone countertop, the thickness of the edge is about 1 inch. We've been advised that since our island is big, it probably doesn't look that good with just 1 inch countertop. So we've upgraded to a 1.5 inch countertop for $2,000. Originally, we wanted a waterfall island, but it actually cost quite a bit. I don't remember how much they quoted us, but I think it was about like $15,000 to $20,000 just to have a waterfall island. So we just said no. The other option that they gave us was that we can add legs to the island. So we went with that, and thickness of the leg is about 1.5 inch. So that costed us about $2,100. And I think it was the right choice to make because I think it would look a little bit weird without the legs. Another thing to note is that we paid about $1,200 to have the cabinets extended forward with the fridge. So basically, if you don't have this upgrade, your fridge will be sticking out from the cabinets, which will look a little bit weird or awkward. So you're kind of paying this upgrade to have the walls of the walls extended out so that it covers the side of your fridge. I mean, this was a weird upgrade to me. I didn't think that it was something that was even necessary. I just thought that, you know, it would cover the fridge regardless. Apparently not. So we made an upgrade to that as well. As you can see, I think we made a lot of upgrades that were pretty conservative. My builder has told me that they have clients who've made $300,000 in upgrades. So I think that's something to keep in mind when you're buying a pre-construction home, is that unless you're willing to have the home just look very basic and kind of crappy, you have to do some kind of upgrade. Otherwise, you're really just buying a shell of a house that just doesn't look good at all. And that's probably something that I wish I had known about, because I probably would have bought resale. If you have any questions or want to know more about what my experience is like, you can just comment below. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys learned something new. See you guys next time. Bye.